The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. This is something a lot of us were kind of braced for a long time, because we had, of course, seen The Last of Us Part 1, which was a remake, and I get like they redesigned a lot of the models and retextured a lot of stuff. So they did rebuild a lot of things. It's just that the remastered version already looked really, really good. So the remake looked better, but like very incrementally. You know, it was one of those classic examples of like a chart of diminishing marginal returns where you have the original release. Let me try that again. Ugh, there we go. Kind of like that. So this is like the original release in 2013 of the game. And then there's the PS4 like remaster that they came out with is like right here, right? And it runs at like 60 frames, redone textures, looks way better, higher resolution. And then it runs on the PS5 as well, so it can even go to like even higher resolution. So it's up here. And then they come out with the actual remake, and it's up here. So the gap between these two is not really that big. I mean, between this point and this point, you're talking like maybe this much total difference and improvement, because it's diminishing marginal returns. It diminishes every time you shift over. Whereas the jump from 2013 to the launch of the remaster was massive. The next jump was a little bit less, and then the jump after that was very, very minimal. What they're doing, though, for The Last of Us Part 2 remaster is very, very similar to this, where basically we have the original game launched in 2020, and then we got the PS5 update, which was like, I don't know if we just say, let's just say here. And this maybe 2021, and this brought like 60 FPS basically. So it was a big jump, nice and big. And now they're doing a remastered version with improved like environmental stuff, deeper and denser foliage, improved textures. The resolution is higher, all that stuff. So there is an improvement, but it's like right here. So the jump is definitely not as big as the initial jump, but it's still an improvement. The reason we got upset back with The Last of Us Part 1 is because they charged 60, 70 bucks for that. And it was a very small marginal improvement. And I was ready for them to come out and say that this was going to be 70 bucks for this little improvement. And I was going to be like, guys, come on. Come on. The game still looks amazing. It's 60 FPS on PS5. Really? What are we doing? But they actually surprised a lot of us, because it's not just that. They actually are improving, you know, like I said, resolution, stability of the game in general. They're also improving like foliage density, stuff like that. But they're also bringing lost scenes. So parts of the game and scenes in the game that we have never seen before. That's awesome. I think that that's a great addition. They're also adding like new cosmetic things so that you can play the game with different skins if you want to. Some people love that kind of thing. I don't really care about it, but some people love being able to play The Last of Us with Ellie in an astronaut uniform. More power to you. As for like probably the most transformational thing though, is that they are actually going in and they're adding what's called no return mode. And no return mode, what they say is experience The Last of Us Part 2 Remaster's deep combat via an entirely new single player mode. Survive as long as you can in each run as you choose your path through a series of randomized encounters featuring different foes and memorable locations from throughout Part 2, all culminating in intense boss battles. Unique gameplay modifiers can offer new and unexpected challenges as you fight to survive in a host of different encounter types. Play as Ellie, Abby, and a variety of unlockable characters, including never before playable characters like Dina, Jesse, Lev, and Tommy, and more, each with unique traits to offer a variety of playstyles and unlock skins for them as you progress through the mode. This is not a quick little bitty thing. Furthermore, this is available for only $10 if you already own the game, which I think is actually quite fair. Oof. Now, upgrade your weapon. Game progression required to access most characters, levels, weapons, and skins shown. Now, I want to rewind a little bit. Look at this. So they show Dina. So all of these playable characters. Ellie, Dina, Jesse, Tommy, Joel, Abby, Lev, Yara, Mel, and Manny. Like what? What? You know, like that's crazy. Oh, and Sean, thank you. Mr. Sean with the Pog yet again. Just gifted 5 subs or 5 memberships to the channel over on YouTube. Thank you, my friend. So that's cool. They're adding like a lot of playable characters, and it's not just that, they have actually added traits. So Dina starts with a revolver and then maybe crafting components. Playstyle is crafting. So I'm assuming this is what this means. So she's built around crafting trap mines, stun bombs, double craft upgrade branch. Okay, so as you start a run, she has that skill branch, so you can upgrade that as you get experience from killing and surviving longer and longer. So as you go longer, you double down on crafting primarily. They go on, they tab down to Jesse. You see he's got his resourceful playstyle. He starts with a pipe bomb and then a silenced pistol, 30% more currency. So presumably he earns more the longer he survives, which allows him to buy and upgrade more stuff. Unique items at the trading post, whatever that means. He can craft silencers, pipe bombs, and then he also has a gorilla upgrade branch. Probably just like more desperate and crazy chaotic types of combat and fighting. So that's kind of cool. You can play as Yara. Play style is teamwork. Apparently she plays with Lev. Traits Yara and Lev pair. So it seems like you'll go through levels with Lev, I think is what that means. So that's very interesting. And you just have a pistol. Her arms are not broken in this one. She has both of them, so that's good. So they're breaking the lore. You could see they're already retconning the story. Look at that. It's ridiculous. So that's interesting. That's cool. So Yara, that's kind of interesting. Manny, he is armory playstyle, has a pistol and then a rifle, 50% more parts, 150% max health, no health kit recipe. Interesting. So he's just a tank, but he can't heal. Semi-auto rifle, ammo recipe, and munitions upgrade branch. So he's all about damage, but if you get to him, he's potentially in some real trouble. Challenge, fully upgrade any gun, unlocks skin tracking, or tracking skin. So that's cool. I could see spending a lot of time playing around with this, honestly. Wait, is Mel pregnant in this? No, I don't think she is. That would be really awkward. I guess the only time though we've seen Mel is when she is pregnant, because she's pregnant in the beginning of the game too. So she probably is pregnant. That makes this whole thing really awkward. Because like you're gonna take a pregnant woman into active combat. That's who I'm choosing. I want preggers. You know.
Let's go.
Hardware store hunted is one of them. Okay. So it looks like humanoid enemies and infected enemies as well. It also looks like it's going to be built around being timed and then clearing a certain number of enemies during that period of time. Or surviving waves of enemies as well. Does the dog count as a person? Lev is down. Interesting. So some of the missions might be about keeping your companions up, maybe? Oh, that was a funny glitch. What? Oh, it's like, this is the modifier. I was like, why did they keep this in? That's a bug. Why did they do that? I guess it's a modifier where the enemies or the infected are invisible until they've been killed. And then they're visible, because this guy's invisible. And somebody's got Lev until you shoot him or hit him. Safe locks. So you have to go unlock safes while clearing out enemies. That's interesting. I'm going to say it. Don't be mad at me. I know you might be mad at me. You might want to cancel me. Abby looks pretty good here. Does Abby not look pretty good? Is that not tickling your fancy just a little bit? Little Mad Max vibes. A little bit of something, something. I think it looks pretty good. Just for $10, I think that makes sense. Simp. Yeah. So I think for $10, that makes sense. Okay. I think that makes sense. Adding on to that, lost scenes from the actual base game, and then also like improved visuals and stuff. I think for $10, that becomes really compelling. And at full price, you know, for people new to the game, you know, and I don't think that that's that outrageous. It's an actual tangible improvement to the base game with new content, hours potentially of more gameplay to engage with. I think that makes sense. I think that lines up. I don't know, you know, what this will look like when we actually play it. Maybe it's only like 20 minutes of gameplay time and the maps are really, really small, but I would guess you get a few more hours of enjoyment out of this, which I think is reasonable to expect. As for, well, I mean, I guess I would just say that this is what I hope to see moving forward from PlayStation is like fair pricing for quality additions to games and reworked versions of games. I think this works. I think this makes sense. Seeing free DLC added to God of War Ragnarok, that's awesome. I don't think any of us really saw that coming, a free expansion that adds gameplay. Who would have thought? But that's cool. So maybe PlayStation is now taking the stance that they want to keep single players happy by offering like some of these little treats every once in a while, and then they'll kind of disappoint them with the live service games that are everywhere. Excuse me, I just choked on my own throat. You ever have that? That was weird. I like got excited, inhaled too quickly, and my throat turned inside out. But maybe that's what it is. Maybe the plan is like, I know you guys are not loving this thing we're doing, but this is paying for this. So we'll keep you happy, throw you some cookies while we're making these, and everybody will be happy. Now, I have not tried, of course, the roguelike mode for The Last of Us Part 2, but some guys over at IGN have, because they got all the cool opportunities. So they actually got to try it, and they offered their thoughts in a video.
Remastered would include a repeatable roguelike mode. The first reaction I had was, huh? But after playing the no return mode for a few hours last week, my tone has shifted to an enthusiastic, huh. Recorded here in 1080p, what could have been a throwaway novelty in this already excellent game's journey to PlayStation 5 actually has surprising depth. With unique characters and costumes to unlock, interesting build paths to explore, and a whole bunch of ridiculous modifiers to shake up its familiar fights. No Return isn't going to put the best standalone games of the genre out of business or anything, but so far it also feels like more than just a remixed trip down a murderous memory lane. The premise of No Return is simple. You pick a character with a unique starting loadout and work your way through a branching tree of randomized fights, earning resources to buy items, upgrade your skills, and improve your weapons along the way. If you can complete 5 encounters, you'll get the chance to take on a boss, but dying once ends the whole run like a proper roguelike. This setup gives The Last of Us Part...
I will say, I do like these high stakes things with The Last of Us Part 2. I normally don't like roguelikes that much, but I have been working very steadily through a hardcore run of The Last of Us Part 2, which has permadeath. And that is... not only is it grounded difficulty, so you don't find like hardly any ammunition, weapons, healing items, nothing. Like you're always on the verge of death. But also, if you die once in your whole run, the game's over. Doesn't matter if you're 20 hours in, it's done. Deletes your save. And it's actually been kind of cool. It's been kind of cool. Roguelikes are the best. I have to be in a very specific mood, Cooper, and like sometimes I am in the right mood. Sometimes I like me some Returnal or something, but in general, like for me playing a game, I know some people, they'll play something like Returnal and they play it, it's really tough, they hit a boss fight, they've been on a great run, they're like 10 hours into it, maybe not 10 hours, they're like 3 hours into it and it's going great, and then they screw up a little and they die and they have to start back over. They learned some stuff. Maybe they got some improvements that carry over, but they lost basically 3 hours of progress. For some people, they hit that and that's motivating and like, ooh, I was close. Now I'm going to try again and I'm going to improve and do even better. For me, a lot of the time, I'm too sassy and I just like, screw this crap. I just throw a fit, you know? But sometimes I'm in the right mood for it. When I'm like watching Breaking Bad here and then playing Returnal here, that can work, but I have to be in the right mood. It's not always the case, but sometimes it clicks.
2's tense and nuanced stealth combat, an excellent platform to shine on, toying with it in creative new ways. Each arena is pulled from a section of the base game, but the enemies you'll face there and the objectives you have to complete are all different. The 2 encounter types I was able to try were called Assault and Hunted. The former pits you against waves of enemies from one of 4 different factions, be that WLF soldiers or the Ravenous Infected, while the latter flips the script and asks you to survive against an endless onslaught of them for a certain amount of time. Trying to not just make it through these encounters, but do so while hoovering up crafting supplies and using items resourcefully to set you up for future stages is a lot of fun. The fights themselves can feel a little similar within each mode, but there's a whole host of systems that aim to push you out of your comfort zone during them. For starters, the character you use, weapons you have, and skills you've unlocked can drastically influence how you play. On one run as Abby, I unlocked an upgrade that healed me every time I dealt melee damage, letting me satisfyingly brute force my way through many fights and incentivizing me to invest in even more close quarters tech. Meanwhile, a run with Ellie, the other character unlocked by default, let me buy a hunting rifle from the shop between encounters early on, pushing me more toward taking longer shots. In contrast, Lev starts with a bow for a focus leaning towards stealth, while Yara actually also has Lev there to help out on every mission. That said, the one place No Return did leave me a little wanting was its run length. I loved that there were actual build paths to explore, each with a different gameplay flavor to discover and tailor your playstyle toward for a given run. But there also didn't seem like a whole lot of time to really let those builds develop. With only 5 trips back to base before the boss, strategies have to come together quickly, and then your run is already wrapping up as soon as they do. That could make a run easier to casually dip into on an afternoon, but if this were a standalone roguelike, this encounter tree feels like it would probably be the first of multiple in a row to allow more time to really hone your build.
I mean, maybe if this is successful, this is something that they double down on. Maybe they add another few waves or something. That'd be awesome.
Thankfully, there are sub-objectives to chase that keep things fresh, be that loot chests popping up in random spots between waves on Assault, gambits that give you extra resources for completing a certain mid-encounter task, or dead drops that reward you with a random boon after the fight if you give up a specific item as payment during it. The most enticing extras to chase, however, are on a long list of challenges, which can unlock everything from new costumes to new characters, and even 2 new encounter types. Challenges provide nice rewards for your effort, as well as for using each character in certain ways, like healing a specific amount in a single encounter with that melee ability on Abby. But the most chaotic way No Return shakes things up is with mods. These randomly assigned alterations to some encounters can provide positive buffs, like a boost of speed when you vault an object, or additional difficulty, like higher enemy health. They can also get wild, including making enemies fully invisible or having them drop pipe bombs when they die. You'll get more rewards for completing encounters with harder mods, so there are some entertaining risk-reward decisions as you plan your path to the boss. No Return also has an
Dude, I can't wait to see the people speedrunning this and just making me look like I have no idea what I'm doing. It's one of my favorite things is watching like speedrunners play a game that's really difficult and they just make everybody else look like they're totally stupid. I love it.
Impressive amount of customization across all of these.
Big Iron, thank you. Take my money. Okay. Thank you, my friend.
Features. There are 7 difficulty modes, including a customizable one, a daily run option, and even a custom run mode that lets you fine-tune what types of enemies, missions, mods, and more you'll come across. As an example of how nuts things can get, I made a custom run that maxed out the mod cap to 6 at once, and some of the resulting encounters were bonkers. This one random stage felt like I had been transported to literal hell. putting a neon red photo mode filter over everything, making it rain spore clouds from the sky, lighting enemies on fire with my melee attacks, and then causing them to drop bombs when they died. It was ridiculous. This sort of arcadey, non-canon action stands in contrast to The Last of Us 2's deadly serious campaign, but it also provides a compelling vehicle for its combat to thrive beyond those story-driven fights. It's not a wildly deep roguelike, but it is more intricate than I would have expected going in, leaving me excited to see how its other characters and encounter types might shake things up further. And at the very least, it's a great excuse for you to savagely choke the life out of even more unsuspecting soldiers after the credits have rolled.
Don't try.
Isn't it just refreshing though to get a game mode that's not just like some multiplayer live service thing that's meant to squeeze more money out of you? It's just like we used to have this all the time where there would be a good game that comes along and then it also has cool stuff on top of it. Like one of my favorite things growing up, it was shocking we were allowed to play this, but the Red Faction multiplayer. I can't even begin to tell you how much we played this. Like so much. It's probably because it was like one of only a couple games that we actually had. But like we played this and we would have friends over and play it with them until their families and parents found out that they were playing a game rated M for mature, which is why I'm shocked that we still were able to play it because my parents were kind of like that too. But like this, we played so much. And this was a multiplayer mode tacked on to an otherwise very, very good game that was already great by itself. Like it was already just a solid single player game. Watching this person shoot is giving me a headache, but like it was already like crazy cool. And then they added a multiplayer mode on top of it, you know, and this used to be standard that they would do this all the time. Great game. And then they just added in a multiplayer or co-op mode or split screen, whatever, just for fun, because why not? And we just totally lost that. And it's too bad. But now they're kind of doing this and it's super cool.